Hey Siri, change the studio colors to blue. YouTube, my guys, my girls, it's your man's VeracityTT back again. Today we about to just chop it up. No tutorial today. But I know a lot of y'all wondering, why in the hell did he choose a Behringer x32 out of all the stuff he could have bought with that money? Why would he get that in a home studio? And it's a mixer probably geared toward a live setting. Let me explain myself, please. First of all, we all know Behringer as a company already has like a bad stigma attached to their brand name because of some of the practices that they take place in. However, I do not buy gear based upon props and name brands. Now, with this mixer, let me tell you what it does. First of all, I don't need a computer. I can record through USB directly on the board, right? Also, it is a MIDI controller. Whenever I move a fader in the DAW, the controls on the mixer are moved. See that? See what I'm saying? So Behringer has the motor faders. It has its own built-in effects. It has a CLA 76, a CLA 2A, different type of delay effects, reverb effects. Basically, I can record with this just like universal audio with zero latency, basically. Like, I don't hear latency. Like, I'm not trying to monitor through the DAW. I'm monitoring directly on the console. So from the headphones straight to my ear, I'm getting all that on the console, and the DAW is just in the background, recording or whatever. Look at the back. Look at all of the I/O. Allows me to be able to buy something like a LA2A compressor, the actual device, and I can plug it into a channel and route all the channels I want on this mixer to get sound into that particular channel. It's just like having a patch bay. I can use different devices at the same time. I can record my Windows computer over here. I can record from my iPhone. I can record from several different devices. I can record from my PlayStation, my TV, all at the same time going to the mixer. So I can get sound from anywhere I want. Another thing that it's good for is metering. It has meters on it. So when I'm mixing in my DAWs or whatever, for my gain staging, I can look right here on my board and see what each sound is hitting at on this board to make sure I'm not clipping or to make sure I'm not going into plugins too hot. So this show me before I add any plugins where my levels are. So that's another thing. Simple, easy, breezy gain staging because all of it is right here. I can see it, like the levels hit, it show you if it's clipping or not, all right there on the board in your face. The next thing is it has multiple monitoring outputs, meaning I can use multiple speakers and route things in such a way that I can A/B speakers, mute or a solo, the different speakers. Another thing that the Behringer x32 is good for and why I bought it is because it has 2 headphone ports. So in a home studio setting, one person's in the booth, the engineer is here, we can both hear the headphones at the same time. If you bought these devices as individual devices, like, you gonna break the bank. Look at how many preamps I got on the back of this mixer. If you bought a device that give you those many preamps, that device alone can almost cost the price of this mixer. If you went out and you just bought a controller without it being a sound card, mind you, it's a sound card. I can use it with the computer just like any other audio interface. You feel me? And I get digital I/O. Not just I/O in the physical sense, but digital I/O, meaning I can use several different programs also all at once. I can have a VST plugin, like let's say for instance, I'm in FL Studio. FL Studio got plugins called like Sakura and stuff like that you can't use in other DAWs because it's exclusive to FL Studio, right? What if I want that sound in the beat, but I'm mixing or making the beat inside of Studio One? It's as simple as going into the DAW, selecting the channel that I'm not using on this mixer, like say channel 9 and 10 for a stereo pair, and then And inside of FL Studio, link Sakura to that 9 and that 10. Boom. Inside of Studio One, I go to that 9 and that 10 and just record that audio right into Studio One. You know what I'm saying? So you can do things like that. You can have sound coming out of different places all at one time, because I have like 32 channels of digital IO. So like if I was using this Scarlett over here, like that only has 2 channels of IO, the stereo pair, channel 1 and channel 2. So that's all you can do. You get what I'm saying? Everything you do, you have to use channel 1 and channel 2. So you kind of limited. With this mixer, I have 32 channels of IO. And depending on how you route the board, you can do things in such a way that you actually can get a little bit more than that IO, depending on how you route the board. So that's another thing. So it's all of that in one. You looking at $2-3 grand if you buy a sound card that has this many ports on it. Then you looking at like at least another grand if you just want motorized faders, like, you know, an 8-track motorized faders that's just a controller. You looking at maybe $700 to $1,000 for that. Then for all the other, you see what I'm saying? So it start adding up. It has its own compressor and EQ, preamp, you know, gates and dynamics, you know, all of that stuff for each channel. So just imagine the cost of that, but what I'm getting in one device. So when I first bought it, it was like I paid $2,700 with taxes and everything. Right now, I believe this is going for $2,300. So if you want this Behringer, this is the time to get it. They don't even sell them no more. So basically, this gear is vintage. They don't make them anymore. So once we buy them all out of each store, they're gone. So right now, this is, the older it get, is a vintage piece of gear. It has a sound. I love the sound. It's built and powered by Midas. It has Midas preamps installed. It might not be good as some of the other Midas products, but you got to think about how much value they packed into this box. It's unbelievable. It also has a mic built into it to where, like, if I'm out here and I have an artist in the booth in there and they're in the studio, I can headphones, door closed, they can't hear me. Boom, I push a button, I can talk directly on the board to the mic. He can hear me in his headphones. Boom. It's just stuff like that right there that made the board irreplaceable. Like, I could have easily went with Universal Audio and got wheeled into the plug-in world and would have paid 2-3 as much money as I paid for this and still wouldn't have all the same functionality. It got all the ports to allow me to be future-proof. If I want to buy more external gear, I got stuff to route it and plug it into. For example, like my MPC, I got a video on that. Click the link, card up top, I'll show you that video where I basically took sound from the MPC through aux 1/4-inch jacks straight to here and showed you that I can record that sound on the mixer USB. So the mixer is fire. So yes, to me, the value and everything that I'm getting, it makes sense to get this one device and save me all of this other money having each one of these features and individual products. You get what I'm saying? That's why it's so fire in the home studio, because you can record with this mixer, look at your levels, gain stage, reverb, delay, compression, you name it, equalizers, preamps, you name it. It's all built into the board. 2 headphone outputs so you can hear at the same time. Built-in microphone so you can talk if they can't hear you, if you are far distance. You can use 2 speakers and multiple speakers and AB speakers. Like, come on, it don't get no better than this. You can use it to control the channels and the tracks and stuff in your DAW. It's fire. It's fire. What really takes the cake is if you did decide you wanted to travel and do a major venue, you got a live mixer. So we finna start mixing on the board and actually doing real projects, and I'm gonna show you guys how I actually use it in my everyday workflow when I'm cooking beats, maybe mixing a song and whatnot. And I'm gonna show you how that is. If that's something you're interested in, go ahead and sub, and I'll see you there. Peace.